Tonight, you'll discover a powerful secret that Buddhist monks have used for centuries to quiet the restless mind and find deep, meaningful rest. I'm going to share 10 remarkable Zen stories that have helped millions of people finally silence their racing thoughts and drift into the most peaceful sleep of their lives. Each story contains a hidden key that unlocks your mind's natural ability to let go of stress and worry. And here's what makes this different from ordinary sleep meditation. These teachings work even if you've never meditated before, even if your mind won't stop racing, even if you've tried everything else. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." In the next 3 hours, you'll discover exactly what this means and how to apply it to your own life. As we journey through tales of empty boats, wise monks, and unexpected wisdom, you'll notice something amazing happening. Your tension will begin to dissolve, your thoughts will start to slow, and you'll find yourself naturally sinking into a state of profound relaxation. So make yourself comfortable. Adjust your pillow. Let your body become heavy against the bed. Take one deep breath with me now, and as you exhale, know that you've just taken the first step on a journey that's been waiting for you since the beginning of time. Let's begin with our first story. Our first story takes place by a peaceful river, where a lesson about the nature of our reactions awaits us. This is the story of the empty boat. There once was a man who loved to row his boat on a peaceful river. He found great joy in drifting along the water, enjoying the calm and solitude of nature. Every evening, as the sun was setting and the world was bathed in golden light, he would take his boat out for a quiet journey. On one such evening, as he paddled softly and relished the tranquility, he noticed another boat heading directly toward him. At first, he called out politely, "Be careful!" But the boat didn't change course. Still, the boat continued on its collision course. Now growing angry, the man began shouting, "Move aside! You're going to crash into me!" His peaceful evening was suddenly filled with frustration as he watched the approaching boat with mounting anxiety. Finally, as the two boats collided, he was ready to unleash his anger on the careless boater. But when he looked closely, he realized that the boat was empty. There was no one inside. It was simply drifting, carried by the current. In that moment, the man's anger dissolved instantly. He sat there feeling foolish for yelling at an empty boat. What had changed? Not the situation. The boats had still collided. What changed was his understanding. There was no intention behind the collision, no carelessness or disrespect to fuel his anger. The Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." This profound truth reveals itself perfectly in the empty boat story. Our anger, frustration, and resentment often arise not from events themselves, but from the stories we create about intentions behind those events. Why do we react this way? In Zen Buddhism, this reactivity stems from our ego clinging, our deep-seated attachment to a separate self that must be defended and validated. When someone cuts us off in traffic, our ego experiences it as a personal affront. How dare they disrespect me? The ego constructs a narrative where we are the center and others are either allies or adversaries. Consider how often throughout your day you encounter empty boats, situations where you attribute harmful intent where none exists. The driver who cuts you off might be rushing to the hospital. The co-worker who didn't acknowledge your greeting might be preoccupied with a family crisis. The friend who hasn't responded to your message might be struggling with depression. Yet our ego mind quickly fills these empty vessels with assumptions of malice, carelessness, or disrespect. In Zen practice, we cultivate awareness of this pattern through mindfulness. By observing our thoughts without immediate identification, we can catch ourselves in the act of filling empty boats. We can notice the physical sensations of anger arising, the tightening chest, the quickening breath, the narrowing vision, and use these as bells of mindfulness, reminding us to pause and investigate. The 13th century Zen master Dogen taught that to study the Buddha way is to study the self, and to study the self is to forget the self. When we forget the self, when we let go of our ego's constant need to assert and defend, we see empty boats for what they truly are, simply events occurring in the vast river of existence, without personal meaning or intentional slight. Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Each time we respond with anger, we suffer first and most. By recognizing the empty boats in our daily interactions, we liberate ourselves from this self-inflicted suffering. Tonight, as you reflect on your day, recall a moment when you felt slighted or offended. Can you recognize the empty boat in that situation? Can you see how your own mind filled that empty vessel with assumptions and judgments? And in that recognition, can you feel the freedom that comes from letting go? As the Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The tranquility we seek is already available to us when we stop filling empty boats with the stories created by our ego mind. Now, let us journey to a mountain path where a monk faces an unexpected challenge in The Monk and the Tiger. Once upon a time, in a quiet mountain monastery nestled deep in the forest, there lived a wise and peaceful monk. Every day, he would take long walks through the surrounding woods, meditating on the beauty of nature and the teachings of the Buddha. He found great peace in the solitude of the forest, where he could connect deeply with the present moment and the world around him. One day, during his walk along a narrow mountain path, the monk suddenly heard a loud, frightening sound. A tiger's roar echoed through the trees. He froze for a moment, his heart pounding, and when he turned, he saw a large, fierce tiger charging toward him through the thick forest underbrush. The tiger's eyes were locked on him, and its powerful body moved with terrifying speed. The monk's first instinct was to run, and he did. He sprinted down the path, his robes billowing behind him as the tiger drew closer and closer. Desperate to escape, he saw a vine hanging down the side of a cliff. Without hesitation, he grabbed the vine and began to climb down, hoping to find safety below. As he descended the cliff, clinging tightly to the vine, he looked down and his heart sank. Below him, another tiger was pacing at the bottom of the cliff, waiting for him to fall. He was trapped. There was no way up and no way down. The monk paused, dangling from the vine with one tiger above and another below. His situation seemed hopeless. But as he hung there, suspended between the two tigers, something caught his eye. Growing out of the cliff's side just within reach was a small wild strawberry plant. On the plant was a single ripe red strawberry. In that moment, The monk stopped thinking about the tigers, his fear, and his predicament. Instead, he reached out with one hand, carefully plucked the strawberry, and put it into his mouth. He bit into the fruit, savoring its sweetness. The taste was exquisite. For that brief moment, all that existed was the joy of the strawberry's flavor. Sweet, fresh, and perfect. Despite the danger surrounding him, the monk found peace in that single mindful moment. He had accepted that he couldn't change his circumstances, but he could still fully experience the present. The monk smiled, knowing that this fleeting taste of sweetness was a reminder of life's beauty, even in the most precarious of situations. The Buddha taught, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." This teaching lies at the heart of the monk and tiger story. It reveals a profound truth about our human condition. We spend our lives suspended between two tigers, the regrets and wounds of our past and the fears and anxieties about our future. Why do we struggle so mightily with staying present? Zen Buddhism explains that our minds evolved primarily as survival mechanisms, constantly scanning for threats and planning for protection. This evolutionary advantage becomes a spiritual liability when it pulls us away from the only moment we ever truly have, this one. Our thinking mind convinces us that happiness lies in resolving past hurts or securing future comforts, when in reality, peace is available only in the present. Look deeply at your own experience. How much of your mental suffering comes from replaying past events you cannot change? The harsh words you wish you hadn't spoken, the opportunity you missed, the relationship that ended painfully. These are the tigers above. And how much anxiety stems from anticipating future scenarios that may never materialize. The work presentation next week, the medical test results, the financial worries. These are the tigers below. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." This is the strawberry in the story. The simple, available joy that exists alongside our difficulties. It doesn't deny the reality of our challenges. It simply offers us a different relationship to them. This strawberry might be the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of a child's laughter, the taste of a simple meal, the comfort of your bed, or even the miracle of your own breath. These small pleasures are always available, even in our most difficult moments, but we miss them when we're consumed by the tigers of past and future. Zen practice teaches us to cultivate what the Japanese call ichi-go ichi, one time, one meeting, the recognition that each moment is a unique and unrepeatable gift. When we truly understand the preciousness of this moment, we naturally want to be fully present for it, regardless of our circumstances. The Buddha said, "The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly." This wisdom invites us to notice where our attention habitually goes. Are you constantly rehearsing past conversations or rehearsing future scenarios? Can you gently guide your awareness back to the strawberry of the present moment, the simple sensory experiences available right now? Tonight, as thoughts of tomorrow's responsibilities or yesterday's regrets arise, remember the monk and the strawberry. What small joy might you savor right now, even amid uncertainty? Perhaps it's the rhythm of your breathing, the weight of the blanket on your body, or the quiet of this moment. The Buddha taught, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. By savoring the strawberries along our journey, we discover that peace is not waiting for us when the tigers disappear. It's available in their very presence. Our next story reveals a profound truth about the nature of suffering through a simple yet powerful metaphor. This is the story of the two arrows. One day, the Buddha was sitting with his disciples in a peaceful forest clearing. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the sound of birds filled the air. The Buddha often taught his disciples about the nature of suffering and the path to enlightenment. And on this particular day, a troubled disciple approached him with a question. "Master," the disciple said, bowing before the Buddha, "I do not understand why we suffer so much in this life. Pain seems to follow us wherever we go. Why is this so? And how can we find peace amidst so much suffering?" The Buddha gazed at the disciple with kindness and understanding. He saw the confusion and frustration in his student's eyes and knew that this was a question many of his followers pondered. "Let me explain," the Buddha said gently. "Imagine that a person is struck by an arrow. This arrow causes pain, and the pain is inevitable. This is the first arrow." The disciples nodded, understanding that the first arrow symbolized the inevitable difficulties of life. The physical pain of illness, injury, or loss. "But now," the Buddha continued, "imagine that after being struck by the first arrow, the person is then struck by a second arrow. This second arrow does not come from outside. It is created by the mind. It is the anger, fear, frustration, or sorrow that follows the pain. This is the second arrow." The Buddha paused, letting his words sink in. "You see," he said, "while the first arrow is unavoidable, the second arrow is optional. The first arrow represents the natural pain we all experience in life, the challenges and hardships we cannot escape. But the second arrow, the suffering caused by how we react to that pain, is something we can choose to avoid." The disciple listened intently as the Buddha explained that when we experience physical or emotional pain, the first arrow, we often make it worse by adding a second layer of suffering with our mental reactions. We become angry, resentful, or anxious, and these emotions deepen the wound. Instead of accepting the pain, we resist it, and in doing so, we increase our suffering. When we are struck by the first arrow, the Buddha continued, we must recognize it for what it is, a natural part of life. But we must also recognize the second arrow. It is the arrow we create ourselves. Through mindfulness and understanding, we can choose not to let the second arrow pierce us. "Master," the disciple asked, beginning to understand, "how can we avoid the second arrow? How can we prevent our minds from adding to our suffering?" The Buddha smiled. "By practicing mindfulness, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. When we feel pain, we can acknowledge it without judgment. We can accept that pain is part of life, but we do not need to dwell on it or create more suffering through resistance or negative thoughts. In this way, we can stop the second arrow before it strikes." The Buddha taught, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of the two arrows parable. We cannot avoid all pain in life. The first arrows will find us, but we have tremendous power over how much we suffer because of that pain. Why do we so readily shoot second arrows at ourselves? Zen Buddhism points to several aspects of our conditioned mind that create this pattern. First is our deeply ingrained habit of aversion, the mind's automatic recoiling from unpleasant experiences. When pain arises, we instinctively resist it, creating a layer of mental tension that compounds the original discomfort. Second is our tendency toward identification, the way we merge with our experiences thinking, I am in pain, rather than there is pain being experienced. This subtle difference has profound implications. When we fully identify with pain, it becomes all-consuming, defining our entire reality. When we observe it with some space, it becomes just one aspect of a larger experience. Third is our habit of proliferation, the mind's tendency to generate endless thoughts about our experiences. A simple headache becomes a cascade of worries. What if this is serious? What if it gets worse? Why does this always happen to me? I won't be able to focus at work tomorrow. Each thought is another second arrow, piercing us again and again. These mental habits operate largely unconsciously, which is why the Buddha emphasized mindfulness as the remedy. Through mindfulness practice, we develop the capacity to see these patterns as they arise. We learn to recognize the difference between the unavoidable first arrow of pain and the optional second arrows of our mental reactions. The Buddha said, "What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create." This teaching reveals the creative power of our thoughts. Each time we respond to pain with aversion, identification, and proliferation, we create suffering. Each time we meet pain with mindful awareness and acceptance, we create opportunity for healing and growth. Consider a personal disappointment, perhaps a rejection, a failure, or a loss. The first arrow is the actual event and the natural emotional response it evokes. The second arrows might include thoughts like, "This always happens to me," globalizing, "I'll never succeed," catastrophizing, "I should have done better," self-criticism, or "This isn't fair," resistance to reality. Each of these thoughts creates additional suffering beyond the original disappointment. Zen teacher Charlotte Joko Beck said, "Pain is not something to be avoided, it's something to be experienced, without resistance." This is the heart of working skillfully with the first arrow. We don't deny pain or pretend it doesn't hurt. Instead, we bring curious, compassionate attention to the experience itself, without adding the second arrows of judgment, resistance, or elaborate storytelling. The Buddha taught, if you are facing in the right direction, all you need to do is keep walking. The right direction is toward our pain, not away from it. By turning toward difficult experiences with mindfulness, we develop the capacity to be with them skillfully, without compounding them with second arrows. Tonight, as you notice sensations in your body or emotions arising in your mind, can you discern the difference between the first and second arrows? Can you meet the inevitable pains of life, physical discomfort, emotional tenderness, or mental restlessness, with kind awareness rather than resistance? As the Buddha said, "The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart." The path to freedom from suffering isn't found in escaping our human experience, but in meeting it with wisdom and compassion. Now let us explore a story that teaches us about the universal nature of loss and how understanding it can bring peace. This is the parable of the mustard seed. Once, long ago, there lived a young woman named Kisa Gotami. She was kind, compassionate, and devoted to her family, but her life took a tragic turn when her only child, a beloved son, fell ill and passed away. Overcome with grief, Kisa could not accept her son's death. She carried his lifeless body in her arms, wandering from house to house, desperately seeking someone who could bring him back to life. At each door, Kisa begged, "Please help me. My son is dead. Is there anyone who can cure him?" But everyone she approached turned her away, saying that there was nothing they could do. Her sorrow grew heavier with each step, and her heart ached more with every rejection. One day, Kisa's path led her to a wise elder who took pity on her and said, "Go to the Buddha. Perhaps he can help you." With a flicker of hope in her heart, Kisa Gotami hurried to the Buddha, who was known for his compassion and wisdom. She found him sitting calmly under a Bodhi tree, surrounded by his disciples. Falling to her knees, she placed her son's body before him and pleaded, "Master, please bring my child back to life. I cannot bear this pain." The Buddha looked at her with great compassion and understanding. He could see Kisa was deeply suffering, but he also knew that she needed to learn a profound truth about life and death. He thought for a moment and then spoke softly. "I can help you, Kisa. But first, you must bring me something. Go into the village and bring me a mustard seed." Kisa's heart leapt with hope. "Yes, Master, I will bring you a mustard seed," she said, her voice trembling with relief. But before she could leave, the Buddha added, "The mustard seed must come from a household that has never experienced death. If you can find such a household, bring the seed to me, and I will bring your child back to life." Kisa nodded eagerly and set off on her mission. She went to the first house in the village and knocked on the door. A kind woman answered, and Kisa explained her request. "Please, can you give me a mustard seed? But it must come from a home where no one has ever died." The woman looked at Kisa with sad eyes and said, "I am sorry, but my husband passed away last year." Kisa thanked her and moved on to the next house. Again she made her request, but this time the response was, "I am sorry, but my mother passed away many years ago." House after house, Kisa Gotami knocked on doors, hoping to find one that had never known death. But at every house, she heard stories of loved ones lost. A mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a child. As the day wore on, Kisa began to realize that death was not unique to her. It was a universal experience, one that touched every family. Finally, as the sun began to set, Kisa returned to the Buddha, empty-handed, but with a new understanding. She knelt before him, her heart no longer filled with desperate hope, but with acceptance. "Master," she said, "I could not find a single house that has never known death. Every family has experienced the loss of someone dear to them. Now I understand that death is a part of life and no one can escape it." The Buddha nodded gently and replied, "Kisa, you have learned an important truth. Death is inevitable and suffering comes to all who are attached to the things of this world. But by accepting the impermanence of life, you can find peace. Your grief was not unique, it is shared by all beings. This is the nature of existence." With these words, Kisa Gotami realized that her suffering, though intense, was not hers alone to bear. She had been blinded by her personal grief, but now she saw that all people experience loss. This new understanding allowed her to release her son's body and bury him with dignity, finally finding a sense of peace in the face of life's inevitable changes. The Buddha taught, "Everything that has a beginning has an ending. Make your peace with that, and all will be well." This profound teaching lies at the heart of Kisa Gotami's journey. Her story illuminates one of the most challenging yet liberating truths of existence. Nothing lasts forever, and our attempts to deny this reality only increase our suffering. Why do we resist the truth of impermanence so fiercely? Zen Buddhism points to our deep-seated craving for permanence as the root of suffering. We want the pleasant to remain pleasant, the beautiful to remain beautiful, and most of all, we want those we love to remain with us always. This craving for permanence in an impermanent world creates a fundamental tension that manifests as suffering. Like Kisa, we often respond to loss with denial. We refuse to accept what has happened and expend enormous energy trying to reverse the irreversible. This denial is a natural part of grief, but when we become stuck in it, we prevent ourselves from moving through the healing process. The Buddha didn't immediately lecture Kisa on impermanence. Instead, he gave her an experience that allowed her to discover this truth for herself. A much more powerful teaching. The Buddha said, "The root of suffering is attachment." In Kisa's case, her attachment to her son wasn't just love. It was a desperate clinging that couldn't accommodate the reality of his death. Her journey to find a mustard seed from a house untouched by death helped her recognize that attachment to permanence is futile. Every household, no matter how wealthy, happy, or blessed, had been visited by death. This universal nature of loss connects us all in what Buddhists call the fellowship of suffering. When we truly understand that loss touches everyone, our own grief, while still painful, becomes less isolating. We recognize our experience as part of the great current of human existence, rather than a unique tragedy that separates us from others. The 14th century Zen master Basui wrote, "To see the truth, leave desire behind. If you do not give up desire, you will not see the truth." Kisa's desire to bring her son back prevented her from seeing the truth of impermanence. Only when she abandoned this impossible desire could she begin to accept reality and find peace. Interestingly, the Buddha didn't try to console Kisa with promises of an afterlife or reunion with her son in another realm. Instead, he guided her toward accepting the natural order of things, that what is born will die. What comes together will eventually separate. This acceptance isn't resignation or defeat. It's alignment with reality, which is the only place healing can begin. The Buddha taught, "The trouble is, you think you have time." This pointed reminder of life's brevity invites us to value each moment and each relationship, knowing that nothing lasts forever. Rather than making us morbid or depressed, this awareness can infuse our lives with greater appreciation and presence. In your own experience of loss, whether of a person, a relationship, a career, or even a phase of life, can you recognize the mustard seed lesson? Can you see how your suffering may be intensified by resistance to the natural flow of impermanence? The Buddha said, "When you realize how perfect everything is, you will tilt your head back and laugh at the sky." This perfect imperfection includes the cycles of life and death, growth and decay, coming together and separating, the very rhythm of existence itself. Tonight, as you reflect on the losses you've experienced, and those you fear. Remember Kisa Gautami's journey. Can you find comfort in the universality of impermanence? Can you see how accepting this truth might ease your suffering? Not by diminishing your loss, but by placing it within the vast shared experience of being human. As the Buddha taught, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Our next story speaks to the wisdom of suspending judgment and maintaining equanimity in the face of life's constant changes. This is The Farmer and the Horse. Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village, there lived a humble farmer. He was known by his neighbors for his hard work and calm demeanor. His farm was modest, and he had only one horse to help with all of his daily tasks, from plowing the fields to carrying heavy loads. Though he didn't have much, the farmer was content with his life. One day, his horse ran away. The farmer woke up to find that his stable was empty and the horse had vanished. His neighbors, hearing the news, rushed to his house to express their sympathy. "What terrible luck," they said. "How will you manage without your horse? This must be such a misfortune." The farmer, however, remained calm. He looked at his neighbors and simply replied, "Maybe." The neighbors were puzzled by his response. How could he be so indifferent to such bad luck? They shook their heads and returned to their homes, convinced that the farmer was in denial about his loss. A few days later, to everyone's surprise, the horse returned. But it didn't come back alone. It brought with it a group of wild horses from the mountains. Now the farmer had not just one horse, but several. The neighbors heard the news and rushed back to the farmer's house. This time, they were full of excitement. "How wonderful!" they exclaimed. "Now you have so many horses. What incredible fortune!" The farmer again looked at his neighbors, smiled calmly, and said, "Maybe." Once again, the neighbors were confused. Surely this was a stroke of good luck. But the farmer seemed just as indifferent as he was before. They wondered why he didn't seem more excited about his newfound wealth. A few days later, the farmer's son decided to try taming one of the wild horses. While riding the horse, he was thrown off violently and broke his leg. The injury was severe, and the son would be unable to help with the farm work for a long time. Hearing of the accident, the neighbors returned to the farmer's house once again. This time, they were filled with sympathy. "What bad luck," they said. "Your son has broken his leg, and now he cannot help you. This is truly unfortunate." As before, the farmer responded with his usual calmness. "Maybe," he said. The neighbors were now thoroughly baffled by the farmer. Every time something significant happened, whether it seemed good or bad, he gave the same nonchalant response. They couldn't understand why he wouldn't react more strongly to the events in his life. A few weeks later, the country was thrown into turmoil. A war broke out, and soldiers came to the village to draft all the young men into the army. Many of the village's sons were taken away to fight in the war. But because the farmer's son had a broken leg, he was not drafted and stayed home with his father. Once again, the neighbors visited the farmer. "How fortunate you are," they said. "Because of your son's injury, he was spared from the war. What amazing luck!" And once again, the farmer replied, "Maybe." The Buddha taught, nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. Being is always becoming. This truth forms the foundation of the farmer's wisdom. His consistent response of maybe reflects a deep understanding that life is in constant flux, and what appears favorable or unfavorable in one moment may reveal itself to be quite different in the next. Why do we rush to judge events as good or bad? Zen Buddhism points to our mind's habitual categorization, its constant sorting of experiences into desirable or undesirable, fortunate or unfortunate. This dualistic thinking creates an emotional roller coaster. We're elated when things go well and devastated when they go poorly. But as the farmer story shows, we never have the complete picture. We cannot see how today's misfortune might prevent tomorrow's disaster, or how today's blessing might lead to tomorrow's challenge. The concept of non-judgment in Zen Buddhism doesn't mean indifference or apathy. The farmer wasn't emotionally detached from his life. Rather, he possessed what the Buddha called equanimity, upekkha, a balanced perspective that remains steady amid life's inevitable ups and downs. He cared about his horse, his son, and his livelihood, but he didn't allow his peace of mind to be at the mercy of changing circumstances. Zen master Seng Tsan wrote in the Xin Ming, "The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences." When we stop insisting that life conform to our ideas of how things should be, we find a deeper kind of freedom. We open ourselves to life's inherent wisdom, which often unfolds in ways our limited perspective cannot anticipate. The Buddha taught, "Do not overrate what you have received, nor envy others. He who envies others does not obtain peace of mind." How often do we compare our circumstances to others, concluding that we're either blessed or cursed based on these comparisons? The farmer's neighbors constantly evaluated his situation based on their own judgments of good and bad, while the farmer himself remained free from these limiting perspectives. Our modern lives are filled with opportunities to practice this maybe mindset, the promotion you didn't get that leads to a more fulfilling opportunity elsewhere, the relationship that ended painfully but created space for greater self-discovery, the illness that forced you to reassess your priorities, the financial setback that taught you resilience. In retrospect, many of us can identify seeming misfortunes that ultimately led to growth or unexpected blessings. The 13th century poet Rumi captured this wisdom when he wrote, "What appears to be a curse may be a blessing, and what appears to be a blessing may be a curse." The farmer embodied this understanding not as an intellectual concept, but as a lived reality. His maybe wasn't passive resignation, but active wisdom, the recognition that life's full story is still unfolding. The Buddha said, "In the sky, there is no distinction of east and west. People create distinctions out of their own minds and then believe them to be true." Similarly, the distinctions of good luck and bad luck are our own mental creations. Reality itself is simply a flow of causes and conditions, neither inherently positive nor negative. Tonight, as you reflect on recent events in your life that you've labeled as good luck or bad luck, try holding them with the farmer's gentle maybe. Notice how this perspective might ease anxiety about negative situations and temper attachment to positive ones. Can you find freedom in suspending judgment about how things should be? As the Buddha taught, with our thoughts, we make the world. The farmer's maybe reminds us that we always have a choice in how we interpret our experiences, and this choice has profound implications for our peace of mind. Our next story reveals the power of non-reactivity and emotional mastery. This is the Buddha and the Angry Man. Once upon a time, while the Buddha was teaching a group of disciples in a peaceful forest, a man approached him with anger burning in his eyes. The man had heard about the Buddha's wisdom and teachings, but he felt threatened by the Buddha's influence over others. Filled with jealousy and resentment, he decided to confront the Buddha and insult him in front of his followers. As the Buddha sat calmly under the shade of a Bodhi tree, the man stormed up to him and began hurling insults. "You are nothing but a fraud," the man shouted. "Who do you think you are? You may pretend to be wise and enlightened, but you're just deceiving people." The Buddha remained completely calm and unbothered by the man's harsh words. His expression didn't change, and he didn't respond to the man's anger. Seeing the Buddha's lack of reaction only made the man angrier. He shouted even louder, "How can you just sit there, acting like you're above everyone else? Do you think you're better than me? I refuse to respect someone like you." Despite the man's fury, the Buddha stayed silent and serene, simply watching him with compassion. Finally, after several minutes of shouting, the man grew exhausted. He had expected to provoke a response, but the Buddha's peaceful demeanor confused him. After catching his breath, the man demanded, "Why won't you say anything? Why won't you defend yourself? Don't you care what I think of you?" The Buddha looked at him with kindness and finally spoke, his voice soft and calm. "Tell me," the Buddha asked gently, "if someone offers you a gift and you decline to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man, puzzled by the question, thought for a moment before responding, "It would still belong to the person who offered it. If I don't take it, the gift remains theirs." The Buddha nodded. "Exactly. And in the same way, if you offer me your anger and I do not accept it, then who does the anger belong to?" The man was stunned by the Buddha's words. He realized that his anger had not affected the Buddha at all. Instead, it remained his own burden to carry. The Buddha continued, "If I refuse to accept your insults and your anger, they fall back on you. You are the one who suffers from them, not me. I choose not to be troubled by your words. Instead, I choose peace." The man stood in silence, contemplating what the Buddha had said. He realized that his anger had consumed him, but it had no power over the Buddha, who remained unaffected by it. In that moment, the man understood that holding on to his anger only harmed himself, not the Buddha. Feeling ashamed, the man bowed his head. "Master, I see now that my anger has only caused me pain. How can I learn to be at peace as you are?" The Buddha smiled warmly, his compassion shining through. Anger is like a hot coal you pick up with the intention of throwing it at someone, but in the process, you burn yourself. Let go of the coal. Let go of your anger. Instead, practice mindfulness, compassion, and understanding. Through these, you will find peace. The man, humbled by the Buddha's wisdom, thanked him and bowed deeply. From that day forward, he sought to practice the Buddha's teachings, letting go of his anger and learning to find peace within himself. The Buddha taught, "You are not punished for your anger, you are punished by your anger." This profound insight illuminates why reactive emotions cause us such suffering. When we carry anger, resentment, or hatred, we damage ourselves far more than those toward whom these emotions are directed. Every moment spent in anger is a moment lost to peace. Every thought of revenge is energy diverted from healing. Why do we cling so tightly to our anger? Zen Buddhism identifies several factors that make anger particularly difficult to release. First is our sense of righteousness, the belief that our anger is justified and therefore worth holding on to. We confuse letting go of anger with condoning the behavior that triggered it. But the Buddha's teaching challenges this assumption. We can establish clear boundaries and seek justice without poisoning ourselves with reactive emotions. Second is our deep-seated identification with our emotions. We say, "I am angry," rather than "I am experiencing anger," making the emotion inseparable from our sense of self. When someone suggests we let go of anger, it can feel like they're asking us to let go of part of ourselves. Zen practice teaches us to create space between our awareness and our emotions, allowing us to observe them without being consumed by them. Third is our cultural conditioning around anger. Many of us are taught that anger is power, that it motivates action and commands respect. We fear that without anger, we might become passive or be taken advantage of. The Buddha's response to the angry man demonstrates true power, not the reactive force of aggression, but the stable, immovable strength of equanimity. The Buddha said, "Hatred never ceases by hatred, but by love alone is healed. This is an ancient and eternal law." This teaching invites us to examine our assumption that anger is an effective response to mistreatment. Does meeting hostility with hostility ever truly resolve the underlying causes of conflict? Or does it simply perpetuate cycles of reactivity? The metaphor of the gift is particularly illuminating. It suggests that emotions like anger, criticism, and judgment require our acceptance to affect us. When someone directs negativity toward us, we have a choice. We can accept this energy, absorb it, and allow it to disturb our peace. Or we can decline the offering, maintaining our equanimity. This doesn't mean becoming emotionally disconnected or indifferent to injustice. The Buddha didn't ignore the angry man. He remained present, engaged, and responsive. But he responded from a place of compassion rather than reactivity, wisdom rather than ego defense. This is the essence of non-reactivity in Zen practice, not withdrawal from engagement, but engagement from a different quality of awareness. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh teaches a practice called embracing anger with mindfulness, which involves recognizing anger when it arises, breathing with it, and treating it with the same care we would show a crying baby. Rather than suppressing anger or expressing it mindlessly, we acknowledge it with kind awareness, understanding its causes and impermanent nature. The Buddha taught, if you truly loved yourself, you would never harm another. This points to the interconnected nature of self-care and care for others. When we react with anger, we harm ourselves first and most directly. Choosing peace over reactivity is not a selfless sacrifice, but the most profound form of self-care. Tonight, as you reflect on interactions that have triggered anger or resentment in you, experiment with the Buddha's gift metaphor. Can you recognize that you have a choice about whether to accept the gifts of others' negativity? Can you feel the freedom that comes from declining these offerings? Remember the Buddha's words. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. In releasing that coal, you free not only yourself, but create space for genuine resolution and understanding. Let us now explore a story about the wisdom of impermanence and non-attachment. This is The Monk and the Teacup. In a quiet Zen monastery nestled in the mountains, a revered monk lived a life of deep contemplation and mindfulness. His students admired him for his wisdom, calm demeanor, and the way he embraced the present moment, never disturbed by the chaos around him. Every day, the monk would sit in meditation, drink tea, and share lessons with his students. One afternoon, during their usual tea ceremony, the monk held up a simple clay teacup and gazed at it for a long moment. The cup was beautiful in its simplicity, with a soft, earthy color and a perfectly rounded shape. The students, curious about their master's silent contemplation, waited eagerly to hear what he had to say. After a few moments, the monk smiled and said, "This teacup is already broken." The students looked at one another in confusion. They could see clearly that the teacup was whole, undamaged, and perfectly intact. One of the younger students couldn't contain his curiosity any longer and spoke up. "Master, the teacup is not broken. It is perfectly fine. Why do you say it is already broken?" The monk, still smiling, placed the teacup gently on the table in front of him. "In my mind," he said softly, "this teacup is already broken. It may seem whole now, but one day, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps years from now, it will break. This is inevitable. When I understand that it is already broken, I can fully appreciate it as it is, without clinging to it. I can enjoy drinking tea from it, knowing that its life is temporary." The students were silent, absorbing the weight of the monk's words. They realized that the master wasn't speaking only about the teacup. He was offering them a deeper lesson about life itself. The monk continued, "Everything in life is like this teacup. All things, no matter how beautiful or precious, are impermanent. We cannot hold on to them forever. When we understand that, we are free to enjoy life fully, without fear of losing what we have. We can appreciate each moment, each relationship, each experience, knowing that it too will pass. And when it is gone, we will not suffer, because we have already accepted its impermanence." One of the older students nodded thoughtfully and said, "Master, does this mean we should not love or care for things because they will one day be gone?" The monk shook his head gently. "No, it means the opposite. When we accept the impermanence of all things, we can love them more deeply, because we are not holding on out of fear of loss. We love and appreciate them for what they are in this moment. We understand that they are part of the natural flow of life. In this way, we can live with a peaceful heart, unburdened by the attachment to things that are bound to change. The Buddha taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with insight, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This profound truth lies at the heart of the teacup story and points to one of the most liberating yet challenging aspects of Zen practice. Embracing impermanence not as a philosophical concept, but as a lived reality. Why do we resist impermanence so fiercely? Zen Buddhism identifies our fundamental misunderstanding of reality as the root of this resistance. We perceive things as solid, separate, and lasting when, in fact, they are fluid, interconnected, and transient. This misperception leads to what Buddhists call attachment or clinging, our desperate attempt to hold on to things that, by their very nature, cannot be held. Consider how this attachment manifests in your daily life. We become attached to possessions, fearing their